all-new WMEG Radio.
'When truth doesn't matter anymore.
Good morning. We're here in conversation. The conversation started, the show hasn't even started yet. We're in conversation. I'm your host, Sean Sims, and I'm with my very exquisite, eclectic, I'm not even sure which adjective to use for you today, Kim. Kim Banks.
Good morning, everyone.
We have today a special in-studio guest. She's sitting with us here now. That is former state senator Barbara Robinson.
Hello, everybody.
Now look, what we're going to do is we're going to go over what the outsiders today will be speaking about. We're going to go over today what the outsiders will be speaking about. And then we're going to go in depth with former state senator Barbara Robinson and her book, Through It All, and she has others as well. But what I want to start off with is, last night, the WMEG event at Glory Days in Towson. That was something else.
Oh, it was fantastic. If you missed it, I mean, you really missed a good time. DJ Rock, as usual, you know, he was just working that music, and we really had, I mean, one song after the other. It was fantastic. And the food was delicious.
He was.
That was my first time coming to Glory Days, and I just loved the ambiance. You know, it was a nice crowd too. You know, I like the customer service. Our waitress was the bomb. I should have gotten her name.
We should have, because she was excellent.
I normally get.
Well, you normally do, but you fumbled the ball on that.
Yeah,
ball out. That's okay. But we did have a great time.
That's something that
last night.
We'll be doing, Rock, once a month?
Once a month.
Mm-hmm. Once a month. So we will always let you know when we are having the event. You missed it this time. That's okay. You can come to the next one.
Yeah, that was something else. We got home late last night because rock the music, and we had a nice time, and Kim and I and my wife as well, and Kim's daughter, Kimmy. So we had a really nice time. We get home, and you know what my wife wants to do? She wants to watch Yellowstone. This show, Yellowstone. I don't know what's going on with this. I think she's got a crush on Kevin Costner. There's a bodyguard Whitney Houston thing going on. But this show, Yellowstone, we're watching it, and we're on the third season because my mother keeps touting it. You have to watch Yellowstone. Great show.
What network again?
Paramount.
Okay.
But that Yellowstone, that is a great show. We were watching that and got to bed a little late, but that's okay because we're here. And I also want to discuss the Ravens-Steelers game. I have to talk about our Ravens. I really do. But Lamar had tweaked his knee, and he's going to be out, I guess, a few weeks. And I guess it's okay to talk about the Ravens because Rock's happy because we won this past Sunday, didn't we, Rock? I know he's happy about that.
Listen, Sean, we're going to fight. We're going to fight, man.
Well, I like fighting.
Listen, anybody that understands what it is to be a true Ravens fan understands it's just certain things you don't say.
Uh-huh.
All right. Did we win? Lamar got hurt last week. Did we win?
Did get hit, but we got that W, and that's all I care about.
And that means that Huntley is quite capable of handling the offense, right?
Yeah, Huntley is.
We're gonna have the same
I don't know
defense?
if Huntley is, but Huntley is.
I said Huntley.
Oh, yeah, you said Huntley.
Huntley.
That's okay.
But we're going to have the same defense we had. We're going to have the same special teams. And yes, our field general is not our number one, but our number two is quite capable of handling a last place team. So we got to say it with some conviction, man. Listen, this is a divisional game right here.
Yes, it is very important.
We don't have no doubt in our mind, all right? We're going in Pittsburgh, and we're going to come back with that belt you got sitting over there in the corner.
No, that's my belt. You can't have that. They can get another belt. They can get the division belt. They can get the AFC Championship belt. They can get the
We're going to
Super
get
Bowl
that, too.
belt.
We're going to get all of that.
They can't have mine.
Yes, we're gonna get all of that. But I have confidence in what it is. Think about it. We still got the number one kicker in the league. We
Yes,
only
I
need to
have
put
a
up 3
jersey.
points to win the game.
I have his jersey. Justin Tucker is the
Yes.
best kicker ever in the history of the NFL.
We only need to put up 3 points to win the game.
Is that what you think? I
Yes.
think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a little tougher than that. Bug-Eye Tomlinson, him and that team, Mr. Stick Your Foot Out on the field to trip up a Raven. Coach Tomlinson, you know what? They're going to need more than that. They're going to need more than that. And
Yeah,
the
but
Ravens
the
are going to have a
problem
tough
is
fight. It's a division game. When you have those division games, it's tougher. It's not, well, they're the Steelers, the record, it sucks. But in those division games, it's a different story. You know that.
We're gonna be fine, Sean.
Okay, let's move on. We're going to have an update on the skate park for Easterwood business. Speak about that. We'll talk about that as well. And Mayor Brandon Scott is hooping and hollering and taking credit for his crime reduction plan in West Baltimore. We're going to talk about that as well. And this Kanye West business, we talked about it, touched on it yesterday, but I want to go a little bit more in depth about Kanye West and, our opinions on what may be going on with him mentally. So we're going to talk on that as well. And I'll be covering the BRICS nations. I know, Kim, you wanted me to go over that. What's going on with the money and the currency. So we're going to be touching on that as well. And I also like to send a shout out to a GoFundMe. Please go to GoFundMe for Pastor Sarah Manning. She's in a situation, she's in dire straits with a landlord and mold in the home and having to leave in a homeless situation. And I reached out to Kwasi Mfume's office. I actually called myself and reached out to his office, which is, that's a tough sell. I actually called in to Kwasi Mfume's office, since he's a congressman, for assistance for Pastor Sarah Manning. And, I end up getting accused of being rude and just simply, want to help. I'm getting a scolding because I called. How dare you call in and ask for help and be passionate about it? What am I supposed to do? Call in to the congressman's office and what, begging or something? Oh, please.
Sean.
That's not my style. I called in. I said what was happening. And I had a witness who overheard the conversation. I was accused of being rude. And this witness, it was my mother. She was sitting there with me when I made the call because she cares as well. And I was accused of being rude by one of the staff members. And my mother was hot. She said, "You weren't rude. You were professional." Well, how dare they say? So I had to calm her down because she was hot.
Well, they were upset because they just didn't like what you had to say.
They didn't like that I was saying the
quite passionate about it, and oh my God, forbid
the truth
that he do his job.
You can't, just like Jack said, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
So I just simply want to help. Go to the GoFundMe page. It's Pastor Manning, homeless Pastor Manning, because she's in a situation where she is could be homeless. She's staying at a hotel right now, but her family is in dire straits. Well, please go to the GoFundMe page. And
what are our pastors doing?
I don't know.
What are her fellow pastors doing?
I don't know.
To help her.
I don't know.
With these big churches and all these members.
They've got
you
tons
mean
of money.
to tell me, yes, Okay, because they're all big on tithes and offerings. Are you kidding me?
They have a lot of money.
And no one can come through and help this woman?
Well, I went on and helped her out. I set up a GoFundMe page to her. So I let her know I'm going to assist as much as I can. Outsiders are going to assist. Zalika Bazemore is doing a lot for her as well. So just wanted to let people know about that. And a special shout out. I have to give this out. A special shout out to the now much relieved circuit court employees, the staff of Baltimore City Circuit Court, because Marilyn Bentley is gone. Rock, could you please hit clip one, cut one, please?
Won't he do it?
Let the joyous news be stated. The wicked witch has lost his
Oh, yeah. Yes, you can. Now that was a special little.
That's
I had to
our
do
fellow colleagues.
for the-
Yes.
for the
Celebrate.
6 years under the regime of Marilyn Bentley.
Reign of terror.
We have, you know, the new person coming in and sworn in, and we have that going on with congratulations out to the new circuit court clerk of the court for the circuit court, Belinda Conaway, and I'm sorry, she's the register. She's the register of wills. That's just a Freudian slip, okay. She's the register of wills. She's actually the new clerk's mom, Belinda Conaway. But there's been some scuttlebutt and some worries at the circuit court that because of Belinda's experience in the register of wills, and that she will be actually running the circuit court through Xavier, who's just 25. Now, I'm just going to go on record to say that I spoke with Xavier, okay? Had a nice long conversation with him, and he's an intelligent young man. I believe that he can stand on his own and do this by himself. Sure, he might get some occasional,
yes.
he might get some occasional advice. I mean, Belinda's not going to be running up to the 4th floor whenever issues pop up, okay? She'll stay where she is as the register of wills, maybe give him a little advice here and there. And that's understandable, but give the young man a chance. He's grad from Temple University, and that's a Philadelphia University. My mom's from Philly, and they put out, you know, good graduates, quality graduates. And so just give the young man a chance. You know, it would be a disaster if she was to take over the circuit court through her son. That would be a disaster, Titanic situation, and it would really hurt him. So let him, he knows what he's doing. He knows to do the right thing and do what he's supposed to do for the citizens and for the people of the city and the state. So that's all I'm saying. Give the young man a chance. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to have this interview.
Sean, hold on a second. I was listening to what you were just saying and everything that you got going on about the whole pastor.
Manning?
Yes.
Okay.
It's really, really a shame that someone in her position will remotely even have to go through what it is she's going through. I would like to put something out there with the support of the outsiders. If you and Kim agree to it, then I'll back it 100%. I'm willing to have an 8-hour telethon here at WMEG where people can come by the station, they can call in and make pledges to raise funds for Pastor Manning. If y'all willing to host it,
Yes.
I'm willing to put it in effect. And WMEG will support it, and 100% of the funds will go to Pastor Manning.
Yes, yes.
Rock, you have a heart.
Thank you.
of
Oh
gold.
my goodness.
Platinum.
See, that's why we're a team.
Exactly.
I love it.
That is wonderful.
Yep.
So we're on board. The outsiders are on board with that, and we have again our special guest, former state senator Barbara Robinson. Welcome again.
I
Yes.
thank you again for having me here.
Kim's going to be asking you some questions. I'll jump in every now and then, but
And I'm T, man, because I'm excited. This is show. We got a good one today. When she called in, I said, man, this lady got a lot of spunk.
Yes.
I promise you that's not what I expected to come through the door.
oh, boy.
I'm excited now.
And I can tell already, seriously, just being in your presence, that you just have, you have this wonderful aura. I feel comfortable in your presence. I can feel like the wisdom and the experience just, coming off of you. It's, you're inspirational for me already. And, we already started talking before the show, and I was just pumped up and ready to go. I love it. So I've read, I haven't read all of your book through it all, but I've read enough to know that you have had a wonderful life of inspiring others and being inspired by others. I did read that you have these, what you call like different periods of your life. So I was wondering if maybe you could share with us like just little snippets of, for instance, the outhouse years. Those were the years where you suffered through some physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, racism, skin complexion biases.
Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah, based on your darkness. And I'm sure that was not an easy thing to go through, and I'm sure because it happened so early in your life, it probably molded you.
And just not there. When in my high school, when they were taking pictures of for the high school book, they took a picture they called Court of Beauty,
Okay.
and nobody that looked like me was in this Court of Beauty.
Wow.
When I got to Morgan did the same thing. Yeah, Morgan was taking. They were taking pictures and groups. I don't remember what it was because I'm going back to 1957.
Okay.
Hello. And Morgan also they had what they called. It was either Court of Beauty or Court of something. And all of the individuals, all of the women of the students were all fair skinned, except me.
Oh, that's just
I was
so
not-
disgraceful.
I was not allowed to be in that. As a matter of fact, they said it would be, we would have this on another date, but it never did. But dealing with colorism, sexism, gender biasness, racism, and all those other isms, that we as women of color had to deal with. And I'm in the 40s and the 50s, and that's where I'm coming from, 40s and 50s
Yes.
and 60s and 70s. I'm old school, y'all, so just get it straight.
There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
that's
When
right.
when I first got to Baltimore, it was in 1957 because I came here to go to Morgan. I was just graduating from high school then, so I've been around quite a while. You were talking about the outhouse years. That's in Alabama, and individuals who lived in the projects, to me, were step up because projects had hot and cold running water. We didn't. Projects was had heat by radiators or whatever. We didn't.
Wow. Wow.
In one room we had a pot-bellied stove, and in another we had a fireplace, and another there's no heat at all. They had bathrooms. We didn't. I know a lot of folks don't know what slop jars are.
Slop jar.
Slop jars.
Never heard of
What's I actually have never heard that before.
At night, that's what we use, a slop jar. Some people call it chamber.
Oh,
But you
okay.
use a slop jar to use at night, to go to the bathroom at night.
Kept it beside your bed?
You kept it wherever.
Like a
Okay.
chamber pot.
And it was a chamber. And then the next day, you take it up to the outhouse.
And empty
and
it.
empty it. There was no toilet tissue. We didn't have any toilet tissue. We had brown paper bag or newspaper.
That is truly old school.
Hello.
Wow.
And in order to get to the outhouse, I had to walk up a trail, and that's past the pig pen, and that's past the chicken coop, and that was in an area where there were fig trees, right at my house. And walking up the trail, the vine was covered with green snakes.
Oh, I was just getting ready to ask.
You know, and they kept saying, well, they don't bother you, they're a garden snake. A snake is a snake.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, my.
I mean, snakes used to go in our chicken house and steal the eggs. You know, I'm going way back, and this was time where there was no dirt. I mean, there was no pavement. I went to school in Columbus, Georgia, when I was in the second grade. We moved to Columbus, but I would go to school in Columbus, Georgia. And as soon as school was out in June, I'd go back home, and home is Alabama.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it was in Alabama. That was with my grandmother, and I was with my grandmother because my mother was an alcoholic, and wasn't an alcoholic that just sit in the house and drink. I mean, when my mother got drunk, everybody in the neighborhood knew that she was drunk because she done cussed out everybody in the neighborhood. She done told everybody's business
out. Oh.
Because when we did have a phone, and then they came and took the phone. When we did have a phone, all phones then were party lines. And there would be 3 people on a line.
And you can hear what's being said.
And you knew it was your phone because you would get 2 rings. The next person would get 3 rings. And the next person would get 1 ring. You know, so that... But you could pick up the telephone, and I cannot tell you how many times I listened to Miss Lily across the street talking to her girlfriend. And Miss Lily didn't know anything about it. This was growing up when I was a kid. So those were the type of things. But when I left Alabama, when I got to Baltimore, I had $1. And that book talks about, I don't know if it's this book or if it's... And Still I Cry.
Okay.
But I talk about leaving Alabama, leaving Georgia, no food, no money, to get to Baltimore. By the time I got to Baltimore, I had $1, and my dress was held up with safety pins because it tore on the trip coming up.
Wow.
That time we were wearing stockings, red fox stockings. I won't forget. They had holes in them because I going in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And also during the time. All my makeup had sweated off and my hair because there was no air conditioning in the room where, in the coach where I was riding, and it took me 24 hours to get from Alabama to Baltimore during those times because we were stopping everywhere.
Brutal. A lot of stops.
And I had no money, and there was some soldiers sitting next to me on the train that was coming from Fort Benning, because that's where Fort Benning, Georgia is, in Columbus. They moved because my stomach was growling, you know. So
loudly?
Yeah.
It disrupted.
I had one time, and a cab driver here said, "Look, where are you going looking like that?" I said, "I'm trying to get to Morgan."
Aww.
And he says, "I'll take you to Morgan for 90 cents, and I'll leave you with a dime." And that's what he did. Carried me to Morgan. And I didn't have any suitcases because they had hidden my suitcases on the train, because I had gone to this a second-hand place, and I bought an army trunk, and I bought, they had thrown this suitcase in a trash can. I took the suitcase out of the trash can, and I bought all of the men neckties that they had, and I used those men neckties and made a rope to tie around my luggage to keep it closed.
Okay.
And it was so ragged that the conductors had taken it from up over and hidden it because they didn't want the other passengers to see the raggedness of that. But I was on my way, you know, and nobody had gone to the station with me because, as I said, by that time my stepfather was in jail.
Oh, wow.
He was locked up for fraud, for taking somebody down and pretending that was my mother, and getting the money on the house, so we lost the house.
Oh my
boy.
goodness.
That's how I end up homeless. I talk about in one of those books. That's how I ended up homeless, because my aunt lived there, and she took in my mother, my sister, and my little brother, but she didn't have any room for me. So they were there sleeping on the floor, but she didn't have enough room for me. So when I was staying, sleeping in the bus terminal, my best friend aunt was running a boarding house for soldiers. So she said that I could stay there, but the only way I could stay there was in a room, well, not a room, it was like a little place where they had a telephone. So she put a cart there, and everybody going through the kitchen, the bathrooms, or using the phone, whatever, had to pass through there. I cannot tell you, and I talk about Ugly Johnny in one of those books, how I had to fight him off.
Creep.
You know, coming in and wanted to get in bed, and all the other soldiers that lived there as well. So she called it a boarding house, but it wasn't.
Well, you were fighting off some people as well once you got to Morgan, and then you got into government work and so on. But in the book, there's a lot of interesting things in your book. Through it all, we're speaking with former State's Attorney Barbara, State's Senator. Boy, that's another 40 split. Hey, that's two. Hey, Rock, that's two for today. That's two for today. Anyway, we're speaking with former State Senator Barbara Robinson and her book Through It All and her other books. And when you got into government, because there's a lot in there, what story pops out in your mind in regards to an elected official doing something that was just, I would say, outrageous, that you could tell the people?
I wrote about a sleazy campaign in my book Through It All, and that's exactly what the campaign in 2018 was, a sleazy campaign when Antonio Hayes was running against me to become senator. Now, I had met with Antonio Hayes. We had breakfast over at Village of Cross Keys.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I told, he asked me, well, why did I want to run again? Now, this is somebody that's just getting there, and I've been out here fighting for over 60 years.
Yeah, he's a youngin'. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a youngin'. And a disrespectful youngin' at that.
That's not good.
And, well, we can go a whole lot of other
Well, I have his man card, too, so he'll get it back when he stops blocking the skate park, but that's another thing. I'm sorry.
He and I talked with him, and I said, I want to stay here I want to run and senator I want to be there for 2 more years. And then after 2 years, you can take over. I wanted to be there because I had been fighting for healthcare issues. That's the reason that I joined the race in 2006.
Okay.
Because I was had been in business for almost 30 years. And I had contracts with the state providing community-based residential care to people with developmental disabilities.
Wow, that's important. That's very important.
There were 250 agencies and only 5 blacks. The 2 had been there for so long that they were going with whatever the status was.
Yeah, of course.
But they were not giving out contracts it was 3 black women. And I think if I don't talk about that in this book, I talk about it in the next one that's coming out. There were 3 of us. They were giving contracts were not giving contracts to black people. And when I learned that there were 250 of us and only 3 black women.
Only 3.
And then I heard there was a meeting, and the person that would to give, can I say the N-word?
Why not? Just say what you feel.
Okay.
Well,
in that meeting, the person that...
Yeah, we are the outsiders.
Okay, I'm the outsider. The person that would allocate the money had a meeting and said those niggas are making too much money.
Oh, that's what somebody else said. So you're just simply saying what someone else said.
He said those niggas.
Okay, well, that's what they said.
Yes.
So I didn't know that until a year later. Because there was another person that was in that meeting who was biracial. So when she told me this a year later, I said, well, why didn't I know about this? Why didn't you tell us? You've been coming to these meetings. She says, well, it didn't bother me. No, it wasn't directed to me then, but now it's directed to me because he just fired me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it wasn't important to you as long as you had a job.
Exactly.
But
It wasn't
now,
important to you that other black women were being discriminated
but you
against.
got fired. Now
Because
it's
you
important.
got fired.
Mhm.
Now it's an issue.
Now I have an
See,
issue.
what people don't realize is that it may start off with someone else, but you better pick it up as your fight, because more than likely it's going to come around to you eventually.
Absolutely.
Just fight for your people.
Absolutely. I mean, what makes you think that they're going to come after you and not me
That's right.
when we are both the same?
That's right.
You know, so I wanted to stay there to, I had put in a bill to be able to determine when you were going to be discriminated against by going to meetings. There were so many meetings that we didn't know anything about. There was also, people had to start coming to me because there was discrimination against the fast food chain.
Okay.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then someone from Southern Maryland got in touch with me because they were going through the same thing, but it was Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
And so when I got to, and I met with some of these individuals, some people from Texas, you know, they were being discriminated against. Met with Maxine Waters from California.
Okay.
Oh, Maxine.
We even went to D.C. And Elijah scheduled a meeting because what we found out that it wasn't just discrimination in Maryland, it was in California, it was across the country. too.
Yes.
So I said, well, we'll put in bills to handle in Maryland and then we'll work. I wanted to finish that. I also had abuse registry. Working in this industry, I had so many people coming in that were providing services to your mother who could not walk, who cannot talk, who cannot get out of bed, but you hired somebody to come in and take care of your mother because you got to work. But this person that you hired to take care of your mother is beating up your mother.
Yes.
Not only is she
Elderly.
beating up your mother,
Yes.
but when the people go and pick your son or whoever up from the daycare, they were getting off and going to wherever they wanted to go, and your child has been locked up in that bus and still there overnight.
Wow.
But he couldn't holler because he was disabled, you know.
Right.
So those type of things I had put in, they call it an abuse registry.
Okay.
And I wanted that to be finished because nobody seemed to understand what it was.
And so that registry would keep track of people who have been accused of doing this?
There, when individuals are hired, if you have been arrested, they have with the CJIS, Criminal Justice Information System, you can go there and find out that he has a record.
Yeah.
But if you are going from place to place and working, there is no record. The only people who know are the people that hired you.
Yes.
And the people that hired you are afraid to say anything because of
Lawsuits.
lawsuits.
Exactly. The liability is.
Never
And
fails.
so when I said I wanted to go back, and Antonio tells me, he says, well, you're not going to win anyway because I have a machine behind me.
Oh, yeah.
And the machine told me that you are too old. And it is time for us young folks.
Wait.
Disrespect.
I said I was going to jump
So
in when something pops up and I have to say something or ask a question. So let me get this straight. Antonio Hayes told you that his machine, and that's that Wolfpack by Cenk Uygur, the Turkish guy, and the Young Turks, $50,000 they gave Antonio Hayes' campaign. So they're saying this group, they gave him $50,000, told him that you're too old.
Right.
He actually said that out of his mouth.
He actually said that I was too old and it was time for me to retire.
Oh, it was time for it. So the older adult vote that he goes after, though everyone listening who's an older adult, senior, everyone who's listening, you're hearing this, okay? why would you vote for Antonio Hayes?
Right.
Why would you? Hey, if there's a recall law, or there's a way to recall, at least the easier way to do it, and someone comes up to you with a little piece of paper and says, "Hey, you want to recall this guy?" Maybe you might want to think about that, because he has absolutely no respect for the older adult community, and he's speaking your stature like that. I mean, the insolence of this. That's insane. I'm sorry to cut you off, State Senator Barbara Robinson, but I had to say something. That's why I have his man card. Not only is he abusive, as far as I'm concerned, against the black youth in blocking the skate park,
Absolutely.
but you have elderly. That's an abusive thing to say to an older adult. That is disrespectful.
Yes, it is.
That is a shame. And I want to say something real quick, because I want to throw this in, because I'm chomping at the bit, because the Mayor Brandon Scott, he's another one, that albatross around his neck, State Senator Antonio Hayes. I wanted to find out from him, does he support State Senator Antonio Hayes' efforts regarding the skate park? I wanted to find out from his office, and we did send an email as well, spoke with his communication team, and one of the persons on his communication team to find this out, and this is the answer that I read. I'm going to read the answer. This is December the 8th, and this is in regards to his opinion, or whether he's going to support State Senator Antonio Hayes' efforts regarding the skate park. Answer: Sean, thank you for this information, and at this time, after speaking with Deputy Director, we are declining to comment on the state skate park matter at this time. This
Such
is
a
from
familiar
the mayor's
response.
office, and here's my response. Hello, communication team person. I'm not going to name her name. This is a shameful situation. It is a shame and disgrace that Mayor Brandon Scott will not come out on record in support of the skate park in Easterwood. This skate park would be in a predominantly black area, Easterwood, and had been approved with funds set aside for it. It is also a shame and disgrace that State Senator Antonio Hayes is blocking the skate park. These are Baltimore's elected officials. These are black men. These are Baltimoreans. I guess the children in Easterwood don't have, quote, end quote, the complexion for the affection. The affection and caring of their leaders towards their young black constituents, their parents, and the community. I guess the black youth are good for nothing but either being arrested in the squeegee kids or touted for votes during the campaign season, of course. Even though he is a no comment, we, the outsiders, will give our comments, and we will find out what, quote unquote, the people of Baltimore think of Brandon Scott and Antonio Hayes. Sean Sims, host of The Outsiders, WMEG online radio. So we're just not going to sit around, and I'm going to go on record now because of this email and the answer that we received, the Outsiders received in regards to State Senator Antonio Hayes' support or efforts with the skate park and blocking it, and Mayor Scott's answer. Mayor Scott, you can go ahead and pull that out now, Kim. I'm going to be taking your man card as well. I'll get that on the camera for our YouTube people.
Our box of man cards.
Yes, The Outsiders, WMEG, we're all on YouTube as well, so you can see our episodes, but I'm putting that up so they can clearly see. Okay.
Cards that have been revoked by Sean and Kim.
My man card revoked.
And wait a minute. Let me pull out the card.
Okay, pull out the card.
But it's not just the skate park that.
Oh no, it's a lot more.
No, it's a St. Francis Neighborhood Center.
Yes. What happened with the St. Francis Neighborhood Center?
You know, I've been working with that center we have gotten, we raised $2 million.
She's holding up the man cards. One says Brandon Scott and one says
Antonio Hayes.
I've got your
These
man
are your cards. We've
Okay.
got them.
So I will give them back to you when you support the skate park and stop blocking it. But
4 million. He said 4 million.
let's
4
say,
million.
okay.
Oh, 4 million.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Senator Robinson. Could you
Yeah,
go on and continue?
I've been working with St. Francis, and it's in Roosevelt, Reservoir Hill, in the 40th Legislative District.
Okay.
That Antonio Hayes ran to represent. The executive director of St. Francis and the board chair of St. Francis, with some staff members. They wanted to meet the senator and talk to the senator about St. Francis. That is helping 500 children. They got a 200 waiting list, all during the pandemic. They never did, never stopped delivering food. And with right in Penn North, and they met with Antonio Hayes, asking about the additional money that we could get in order to expand it again. I mean, if you go over at Reservoir Hill and see, we started operating out of a one room, and this is go back to Father Tom 60 years ago. So now we up and have renovated the entire area, you see, but we needed more money in order to expand some of the things. Antonio Hayes had the audacity to sit back and, after everybody explained everything, well, as long you cannot count on my office, you are going to have to either go around me or above me. But as long as as long as Barbara Robinson is affiliated with anything that you do, I will not help you in any way.
He said that?
Absolutely, and
He
called
said
my
that
name. He
in the
said,
meeting?
I will, yes. And that's when they came out and they were so upset, and they called me and said, you know what he said? And when I heard this, I said, you know what, y'all can do whatever you want, but I'm going after Antonio Hayes. I've been out here in this world fighting for so long before he even got on this planet. And for him to come and have the audacity to disrespect what I have not disrespect me, because I don't need anything from Antonio Hayes.
Right.
I have worked, I am in the greatest place of my life right now. I have 3 more books that's coming out in next year.
Oh,
Finished.
You're a writing machine.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely. And these books are finished. And after that, I have 9 more that are finished from that. I've been writing all my life.
Okay.
Because when I started, I was writing to heal. Because of the discrimination, because of the beatings, because of the abuse. My stepfather's sexually abused. I could go all through that. And I talk
And you
about
have to do all that, and then you run across
and then I could
this
run around
knucklehead.
somebody like Antonio Hayes. And I'm saying, work with me. Because you know what? I really did respect his background. Because he had to fight to get to where he is now.
Yes.
Well, he had to
You
do
can
that, and maybe
identify with
I can identify with his mama.
Yeah.
I can identify with the place that he came from.
Yes.
So when we sat and talked, I actually did like this guy. Initially.
Until you found out who he really was.
Until I thought, when people tell you who they are, you need to listen.
Yeah, and see, he's very insecure,
real-
clearly.
Yeah.
Because why would you constantly come for someone who has done nothing to you unless you feel like they are a threat?
And I really believe that's the reason that he's backtracking on Easterwood, because with the skate park in Hampton, Nick Mosby and I worked with Stephanie in order to get the money for the skate park in Hampton. I got bond bills for the skate park in Hampton.
Okay.
And there are pictures that she has of me and Nick Mosby doing groundbreaking for the skate park in Hampton. Now the problem is there's nothing in the black community. But when the skate park was introduced in Hampton, Antonio Hayes wasn't even there. No, when the money was gotten for the state park, Antonio Hayes was not even in politics. Well, nowhere around. But when we were taking pictures about it being finished, he pushing his way to get up front.
His head pops up
Oh,
out
he
of
had
nowhere.
to get pictures. To get,
Trying to get
because
credit.
the media is there.
Trying to get credit for something he has
For
nothing to
something-
do with.
And he's done that a whole lot. He's taken credit for something he didn't do.
What do you think about what's going with the mayor? I mean, Antonio Hayes is one thing, the mayor's is another, and what's going on with this new crime reduction? Because I wanted to touch on this, because maybe you can maybe enlighten us a little bit, because this new crime reduction over a timeline, I've looked at it, and I noticed that we had Marlo Hargrove on our show in studio on November 19th, and we went over his program and how it was helping reduce crime and how he was helping the community in Sandtown. And I sent a communication to his communication, one of his communication persons on the team, and I sent an actual text message with our link to our show. And this was done on December the 3rd. On December the 6th, 3 days later, the mayor has a press conference and bragging about the reduction in violence, 33.8%. And this is what he said: from the beginning, we have been focused on strategically scaling up our GVRS, which is Gun Violence Reduction Strategy, the GVRS efforts, so that we can produce sustained results in the areas of our city that have historically had the highest rates of violent crimes, thanks to the tremendous impact that we have seen in the western, wink wink, Sandtown, wink wink, okay, we stand confident that we will see similar effects in the Southwest and eventually across the city. And I'm going to decipher that real quick. I think this statement, and I'll let you know what I believe he's really saying, is that he's speaking in hidden sentences, in dark sentences. He will, of course, deny it. What he's saying, I believe, is this: I'm getting a tremendous amount of heat on me about my promise, and a promise he made, and what is going on with Baltimore City. And Rock, could you hit cut 2 that clip and cut 3 right in a row?
So you talking Governor Hogan or the mayor?
Both of them.
Right.
Thank you.
About Baltimore City. Let's switch to Baltimore City. In the entirety of your tenure, Baltimore City has had more than 300 homicides every year. You've been very vocal about the resources that have been pumped into the city, the change in leadership, the inconsistencies, the things that you think needed to be done to fix this. Is there anything that you think that you could have personally done to help with this problem?
I think we did every single thing we could help with the problem for 8 years. We put $1.5 billion of state money into Baltimore City on public safety. And, I've sat down with 4 different mayors and 5 different police commissioners. We gave them every single thing that they asked for. We provided tremendous support to all 5 state police agencies. We pulled together federal law enforcement with local law enforcement. But you can't replace leadership in the city. I wasn't the mayor of the city, and I wasn't the police commissioner. And the thing that frustrated me was, in spite of all those efforts, they would not take actions to get the most violent criminals off the streets. I'm very, excited that now we have a new incoming prosecutor in the city, both a state's attorney and a federal prosecutor, U.S. attorney, both of whom want to really focus on the violent crime. I think that's a great step. But it's very unfortunate they rejected our efforts to tougher sentencing, more accountability, judicial transparency, tough sentences for people that commit felonies with guns, tougher mandatory sentences for the shooters. All of it was rejected. All of it still needs to happen. That's the only way we're going to get people off the street.
And the next clip.
I will aim to reduce homicides by 15% each year in my term, getting us below 300 homicides in my first year.
Well, that has not happened. In fact, Baltimore is now on pace to see its deadliest year ever.
Well, this is what I think is going on. He's trying to get in front of the story. He's getting a lot of heat. And the outsiders pointed out that he mentioned 15% crime reduction. Every year he's going to be in office. That means 30%. Then he goes on and talks about 33.8%, which is 3.8% above 30%. But this is just in this one area. Now, what he's going to do is he's going to go out and he's going to tout this program and put it out. Southwestern District, Q1 2023, Central Q1 2023, Eastern District, Q3 2023, Southern District, Q3, Q4 of 2023, Northwestern and Southeastern District, Q1, Q2 of 2024, and Northern and Northeastern Q2 of 2024. So I guess right around election time, I guess he'll have the crime rate all over the city, just like he has the crime rate with his MONSE program in Western Baltimore at 33.8%. So he's basically going to have the crime rate, this is the way I'm doing the math, at 30% reduction by 2024 based off of this pilot program. What do you think?
What I think is that he's working in the silos, and we have all these organizations to help, and everybody is working with their own little bit, but nobody, in 2017, House Bill 1287 that created Maryland's first school-to-prison hotline commission using restorative practices. Now, there were 27 of us on this commission from Department of Corrections, Education, Political, all of us, and we met 11 times during 18 months, taking statistics, data, empirical data from national and international. We even got from Japan and from UK and from other states and all of Maryland. And we specifically said what was needed in Baltimore for the school to prison pipeline as it related to black youth, because what determined is that black youth were going to jail at 3.5 more the rates of whites for the same infractions, for the same behavior. So all of that information was compiled in a report and given to the governor to the in January in 2019. I know because I was part of that commission. I was appointed there as a senator to represent that commission. And Alonzo Washington, who put the bill in, was also there to representing the delegates.
State Senator Robinson, this is what we have to do. This show is so, Rock, we're going to need more. We're going to have to negotiate for more time on this show because we have so much we want to talk about. I want to have you back.
I didn't even get to.
No, we want to continue because there's so much going on. We want to continue, and you know what? I should have originally did this. So what we're going to do is the Outsiders are going to be back next week, and can you come back, please?
Well, I'm having surgery on December 16th.
Oh wow.
Gallbladder removed.
Well, we're going to do something, even if we have to do a tape interview. We're going to have you finish up what you were saying so that everyone can hear. And we will see you all, hear you all, speak to you all. Don't forget the YouTube channel because you can see the show as well. The Outsiders. And again, take care all and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Yes, stay blessed.
Okay, bye-bye.